Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Docu Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which is, uh, real late. Let's be honest, we're real late with this episode 6 of Love Is Blind. We're almost done with the whole season. So, but sometimes just fashionably late, and sometimes unfashionably late. Sometimes like hobo chic, like fashionably late, and sometimes like, like she's in a depressed state, fashionably late. But at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet, because we take care of ourselves. And we tell you we're running late through a text. Anyway, with an ETA. Hi. What a dirty.
Hello. Are you just gonna keep talking? Are you just gonna keep
This is a
adding to
Patreon
your
only exclusive.
outro? You're just gonna keep doing it. Hello. You know what? This is what I was thinking, Chris. Like, what if I give you this night and I say, oh wait, but you're hungry, so you're gonna have to eat at some point, but that's fine. I am willing to go until 11 p.m. my time, which is in 3 hours, if we can double up some of the episodes and just get through them. You could say no.
No, yeah.
Intimate
Or I
place.
feel like we could also just get things. We could do shorter episodes too. This is a boring episode.
This is a great episode. Okay. This is the episode that a lot of things happen. We just talk about it. There's big things. Okay, here's what it is. You're right. They're in Punta Cana, right? They meet with their they have their alone time or whatever. They've had their alone time, and then they meet each other, and that's where the shit really goes down. So like, if you want to skip the beginning part of like the archery nonsense and
okay, you know what, you're right. But let me ask you
the
this,
little banana.
Can I ask you a question? How did you frame your YouTube ones? After six happens,
I go to sleep.
Nicole puts that ass to sleep. Okay, so the first time, so sorry, this is our Patreon, so we can you really see how this is like. Okay, they dropped the first 6 together, right? So so we're now, once we get done with this episode, then we move on to a 3-parter, then the weddings, and then
they dropped it in 4 parts. It was 1 through 6, 6 through 10, or 6 through 11 or something like that, and then it was just 2 episodes of like 12, 11, and 12, and then now tomorrow is 3. Is 1.
Okay, well,
is 1 episode.
Why don't we just do it like that then? So what? Yeah, I don't mind doubling up or doing it like that, but let's just do this as a standalone episode for episode 6. We're already in the middle of. I've already edited that way, and then we can just double up the next ones. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's just talk about it's like a little morning montage and a very of like yeah of couples being able to explore each other in the morning after situation. Yeah, it feels forced is an obvious word. If contrived being an obvious word. I mean, like this is like giving Neutrogena commercial or whatever. This is like, so it's a lot, it is a lot. But it starts, of course, with that. And we have let's see, pool time with Amy and Johnny. Amy's wearing that bright pink neon kind of like suit that, Frankie's bikinis kind of like had, but like, I really do love a hot ass neon pink, but it has to be bright pink, like not the pink that like is our names, the bottom of the screen. That's much too dark, much too raspberry. This too raspberry. I really love that like bright ass neon pink. And I also love a neon coral, like, no. Bad. Anyway, so every time Amy and Johnny together.
You want to fast forward? So let's just fast forward. No, you don't. Okay, you didn't have that thought. Great.
That you want to fast forward their segment? Well, I was gonna say
they're so boring.
Well, they don't feel sexual. They feel like brother and sister. Like they don't. I guess what I was gonna say. Like I don't feel a sexual chem, and I can't quite tell if it's because they don't have a sexual chem. I can't tell if I've aged out of seeing that generation as sexual beings. Like he's so young acting and so young looking. Every time he talks, I'm like, what a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't.
Yes, you're right. What a baby. Well, why do you need that? Why do you need to feel their sexual chem?
Well, because I think the entire point of watching Love is Blind is to see if these couples are in fact in love and if the experiment worked. And
Okay,
so
so do you think that it is the same, like Kenneth and Brittany?
uh-huh.
What do you think of them? If you don't think that Amy and Johnny have any sexual chem and that they're brother and sister, I want to know what the fuck you think of Brittany and Kenneth.
Gay best
Okay,
gay
okay,
and
great.
so yeah, I'm okay, so great. God bless it. I mean, I don't I mean, we'll talk about everything. I don't want, it's incredibly hard doing something like this where you don't want to like try and out someone who doesn't want to be out, or like say that someone, gives vibes or whatever. At the same time, we live in a world where also we're like, don't waste people's times. Like,
Mhm.
we live post Colton Underwood. This is a post Colton Underwood world. Again, Colton was the blonde bachelor that wasted a lot of fucking people's times, energies, a whole season, a whole budget of money to find a woman who he would never make him happy. He can't be with a woman. So I'm just saying, at some point, I will never speculate. I don't want to speculate publicly about someone's sexuality unless there just very much feels like they're doing a disservice to themselves, the world, and anyone who they're going to try and trick to be in a relationship. And I also want to protect that person, So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't know
What?
what I don't the vibes were that he just like wanted it in the beginning and then after that was just not interested. Now, let's get back to it. So, to me, Johnny and Amy are boring, and I put something on my Instagram where they showed their like names on the screen and then you just fast forward through it because that's how I feel. Every time I saw them, great, I'm happy for you. Fast forward because you're boring. And the only like good like fun thing they had was that Johnny and her didn't have sex or were faking not having sex because he was like whatever. He was saying he didn't want a baby. And it's like, why do you think she's just the most fertile flower in the garden? That's so weird. Okay, now let's go back to this real quick so we can get to the nuts and bolts and then be done with this episode. So after Johnny and Amy, we have massages by the water with Brittany and Kenneth, and they just had the most boring. It's like they've never actually gotten massages. I mean, they don't
Yes.
get enough massages because I get so many massages that there is no need to have a conversation about the massage afterwards unless it was so good that it's worth talking about. I have had massages in almost every country that I have been in because that's how much I love massages. I go get massages here, I go get massages there. I got a massage in Montreal. Like, I just do that. That is what I do. So to be like, yeah, that was so great. Can we have massages all the time by the water? That shut up, move on. It's like so boring.
Yeah, and it's sad because I feel like Britney starts to like kind of like romanticize what her life could be. And obviously at first they're very cute together. And so obviously you can tell them, we've watched beyond this. And so this hasn't happened yet. Everything I said, like is also because we know what's happened in the future or whatever. But in this situation, this is like them bonding. But even in the massage, they're kind of looking away from each other. It's not like at all sensual and sexual to each other. It feels like they're in a couple's massage that it didn't have to be. Could have just been in their own massages, honey, but anyway, so we also get some archery with Laura and Jeremy, which is funny because Laura has been slinging daggers at him the entire time and will continue to do so. I, yeah, it's interesting. They have a very pointed back and forth, sassy, conversing style, but she radiates like an undercurrent of either you're not going to fuck with me or you're not good enough for me. Like, there is this feeling underneath. Except she's talking about, like, how clean he is or whatever, but we can get into that, but, when we get to his house,
Yeah. So they end up having a conversation after the archery where they're sitting down in some kind of wooden cabana and he's just being so lighthearted and jovial and like being silly. And she's like, stop that. Like, da da da. Like, it's so
Mhm.
annoying. Ha ha ha. And then he's like, I like that about you. I like that you just tell me I'm so annoying. And I'm like, yeah, it's fun and cool now. But like
Yeah.
this is the like fun part of your time, and she's finding reasons to be like, oh my god, stop it, oh my god, your Hawaiian shirts, oh my god, you're handling. And then she like gets the smallest banana, and I can only imagine that that's what banana sizes actually are, and like what we're eating is like manufactured monstrosities. But like she gets the smallest banana and she's like, what does this remind you of? And it's like talking about his dick, and it's just weird.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
think the first time I watched it, I didn't think too much of it. But then I watched it again and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this tracks for how much of a bitchy bitch she is."
I mean, she's very intimidating, and I feel like in a friend group, she is an alpha, She's like I feel like she's bossy, like and I feel like if you were friends with her, you would walk on eggshells a little bit around her. If there were things that you needed that, would be in like a direct opposition to what she wants, I would be like afraid to tell her things. I'd be like, holy shit, she's just like, she'll skin me alive, that one. She's scary a little bit. But anyway, we then get to AD and Clay, and then, they're talking, and this conversation is crazy. And basically, we do know that AD likes to keep it right, keep it tight. AD is a
Mhm.
cheerleader. She has talked about, like going to the gym in the pods. We're going to continue the sexualization of AD and her body in every possible way. But in this situation, she talks about how she can't like do too many empty calories. And he's like, with a body like that, of course you can. And she's like, the body is like this because I don't do all the extra calories. And so after she has said that, and it's obviously on top of things like that, and then she's like, yeah, like talking with him, and he's like, "Well, I wouldn't let you gain weight because if you ever gain weight, I would tell you." And the way that he says that he would tell her is horrifying in a way where it reinforces, oh, if I gain weight, the chief priority isn't your attraction to me and you having to remedy that as if it's that fucking important, as if it's not more important than my own health or my own like mental state. And also, like this obviously rubbed me an incredibly off in a horrible way. And
It rubs
also,
you off? What? It rubs you off in a
I know,
horrible way?
I know, I'm really mad I said it that way. I was like, how do I ticks me off. It's like I wanted to say it ticks me off, and then, like, it rubs me the wrong way,
Rub it
and
the
then it
wrong way. It just rubs me
rubs
off.
me off.
Wow. Wow.
Rubs my clit right off. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
just wrong. That's what it does.
I
Rubs it
know,
raw.
I'm so mad. But yeah, like, it's he's just like, "Well, I'd be with you in that gym, and I'd be making you get in that gym." And it's like, what? Knowing that I have to wake up every morning being like, "Oh my god, I absolutely have to work out, and I better not eat all day because I've gotten 5 pounds overweight." And Clay of Clays only cares about the way I look, has only cared about the way I look this entire time, although he went on a show called Love Is Blind, and like is going to leave me or not be in love with me because he doesn't find me sexually attractive because my body isn't right, isn't tight. Is just like, fuck you. I mean, it's like, obviously, no one wants to like change the way they look in such a obscene way and expect someone that like no one wants to be, like really, really losing or gaining so much weight that their entire body changes in such a way that makes them unhealthy another way. So beyond that kind of situation, like Clay being so vocally still into her looks is just it's so shitty if you're coming from a place of love. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. She also says, "Well, what if I have a baby? My belly's out to here." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna help you get right back into it." Like, so like that is the most important thing, not even thinking about her. And like he's just coming from a super ignorant place, like a place of like never even having understood like what a woman's body goes through, or never really having loved a woman for who she
Mhm.
is. Like that's part of that. And then also
Mm.
it's like he then like she's like, "Well, you could say it nice." And the whole time she was saying that way, I was mad at her because I was like, "You're not being specific as to what the fuck the problem is. You're trying to tone police
Mhm.
him when it's not about the tone of it. It's about
Mm.
the whole entire subject of it, of him just being like, 'I'm not gonna let you do that,' as though they're in their 20s and this is like somebody who just like is gonna gain a college 30. Like that's not what we're talking about here." And then she and him go on to talk about how she's been in therapy, and he's like, "I really need that, I really need that, and I love you for that because I want a woman who challenges me." Now this is part of my like issue with Clay to begin with, is that along the way he drops little nuggets that put the onus on her to be something in
Yes.
order to make him something else. And I hated every second of it. And the fact is that I said to myself, AD hasn't had enough therapy to understand that the things that he's saying are things that she should not want. I don't want any man that's like, I need you to help push me. I need you to help like get me to that next level. I want you to be my Bonnie and Clyde. Like all of that shit that you need, this loyalty thing that I think exists as specifically, and I can only speak from that experience in the Black community with Black men, hetero Black men, is that they want a woman who she's down for me, she supports me, she makes me feel like a better man, and because of that, that means that I want to do this. No, you either might be labeling it incorrectly. Whereas, like, the reason why you want to do more for this person is because you love her and she's like the best person that's come and has caused this, but not because she is doing things specifically to make you be that way. Or that is what you want, and then you want a workhorse. And I can't be that for you, baby, because I'm trying to live a soft life and I don't have the time to be dealing with your abuse, your abusive words, your physical abuse, or whatever that could be, because I'm trying to help you be a better person. Right now, I'm watching The Good Wife. And girl, I don't know if anybody's ever watched that show, and I know I talked about it before yesterday with you, Chris, but like there is just this through line, and it feels very 90s to me that this man has cheated on his wife with a prostitute, and he's a political figure in the state of Illinois. And like she then stays with him, and like everyone is like, there's two lines of thought: the kudos of like staying by your man. There's they talk about Hillary Clinton a lot because she stayed by her man who was cheating and like doing all these things. And you know, and I'm like, that is a very antiquated way of thinking. Now, if Hillary knew that her man was in the streets and that's what she was like, fine, I can't give you that, I'm fucking busy, don't get caught, and they get caught and she stands by him, that's one thing. But if you thought you had the perfect life with this person and all of a sudden they cheat on you, and now this expectation is that you'll just forgive them and get over it because men will be men and like they can't help themselves, and when they get into power, no, there are consequences for your behavior, whether or not now your relationship is open or you get a divorce. Who knows? I don't care what it is, but I don't like the narrative that somehow there's this like this kudos to be given to this kind of woman. And that to me is what AD was trying to do, is put herself in the position to like support her man to where he would have to look at no other. No, you should just be able to be you and have your man not look at others.
I completely agree. And yeah, it is antiquated. It's the same thing that Jackie did with JFK. Women just had to like grin and bear it. And yeah, that's especially for high ranking. It could be what's happening. Half of the conspiracies about Kate Middleton, I mean, who knows, and Prince William, we can have a different conversation. But anyway,
oh my gosh,
I
that's a
completely
great
agree.
conspiracy.
Oh, yeah,
Also,
no.
Clay says that he doesn't know the rules of marriage. And I was like, how? Your parents are married for 24 fucking years. I don't care that your dad took you on sneaky links. Like, I mean, maybe I do care. But like, it is just wild.
I think you do at the end. I mean, for how it comes back, don't we care?
Back.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, but it's like, what are the rest of your siblings so messed up? Like, did your dad do that bad of a job? Because like, I'm not saying that my dad was the greatest husband to his wife, but I can't imagine my brother ever saying that like he doesn't know what marriage looks like, because he's literally the only thing he knows is two married people.
Yeah.
So it's figuring it out.
I don't know what those rules are, and I deserve to not know. All my parents have been married and divorced multiple times. The only thing I know, and I mean this, is that marriage lasts only 7 years. Because that's the rule that all my parents have taught me through their various 7-year-long marriages. Too many different people. Anyway, so, but yeah, so that's horrible. And yeah, I agree with you. And just one more thing is just like, yeah, like then if she fails being a perfect wife, then he doesn't have to be a great man, and she's the one that failed, and it's all on her. It's horrible. So, then we move on to Chelsea.
Chelsea and Jimmy.
Chelsea and Jimmy are like laying in one of those like, little cabana things. She's nervous about being in a bikini in front of Jimmy, and she says that his personality makes him 10 times cuter and calls him a babe. And then she kind of like tries to fish and be like, so like what's your usual type? I don't even think we talked about that. Like, what's your usual type, Jim? And he's like, like the things I said about you are my usual types. Like everything I liked about you is my usual type. And he's like, what about you? What's your usual type? And she's like, yeah, I'm big, muscly, basically, like Trevor. I don't know what he looks like, but Trevor, just like
The opposite of you.
less itchy of a scalp, but Trevor, and he's like, it's interesting. He tries to pretend that he's not on dating apps. Do you believe that? When he said that, I was like, I don't know about that, Dad, Jimmy.
I know guys that are not on them, so I can
Yeah,
believe it.
but do you think Jimmy's not on dating apps?
Um, not at 27 or how old he is, correct. No, I don't think that.
Oh, okay, good.
I think I don't know what he means by it. Maybe his friends are constantly going on dates and like trying to fuck girls and doing all kinds of stuff, and so maybe that's why he says he's not on it that way. But like also the fact that she would ask him what his type is, but don't let him say what his type is, because then she's in her head and upset about it. I just hate the double standard that Chelsea provides. It's like she could do whatever and say whatever, but he can't do any of those things because it makes her uncomfy. Did we even say that? This is Love is Blind season 6 episode 6, feeling uncomfy. Great.
Yeah, everything she says is operating from a place of deep insecurity and anxiety. Every word, every morsel, every breath is motivated by un uncontrollable anxiety and deep, deep insecurity. And it's so obvious. It's so horrible. Her asking about what he likes. And then, like he starts talking about her tats. And she's like, we haven't dated girls with tats before. Like everything is just like, he doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like me. It's like that's what's screaming in her head as every word comes out of her mouth. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
He's like, no, I haven't. And that's shocking because I'm gonna tell you right now.
What?
When he told me that he was the first of his family to go to
When he
four-year
told you?
university, yeah, he told me personally that he was the first to go to a four-year university, I definitely pegged him as a certain type, and that certain type dates women with tramp stamps who smoke cigarettes. Like, yeah, I just was like, I was like, oh, you have created a new road in my brain because I'm a terrible individual. And in my mind, I don't know why those two equated, but because he is a Caucasian male from the mountains of Caucasus, and he said that he'd never like he's the first person in his family, I was like, well, they're hillbillies. So
Yeah, but I see what you're
they're
saying.
hillbillies.
Yeah, but
So he obviously has dated somebody who's put soda in a baby bottle.
I even see that, but I don't know if the same culture from like, if you don't have any money, like tattoos could be expensive, saying
Mhm.
I don't tattoo culture
Every
doesn't
poor person I know has
has a
tattoos.
tattoos.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for
So
me it
that's not
is.
something that
All
okay.
of my family and people that I know, I mean, just the worst tattoos, like home done tattoos, like not even like good ones, just like Taylor. I mean, I shouldn't say
Okay.
everybody I know. I should say everybody that I watch on
But
reality
Taylor's the
TV.
kind of white tea that he's not. She's more city white tea. That's why.
Oh, I guess I just don't know the differences. To me, I haven't had the diversity within the white have not community to understand what is going
I
on.
haven't either. I haven't either, for
So I
cultural
yeah,
and location reasons,
it's
but
opened up
yeah.
my mind, and I'm happy to know that I'm a fucking terrible person. So shoot,
Oh, I'll
because
tell you that.
thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Tell
Thank
me
you.
that all the time because there are people who like assume that black people are all a monolith in a certain way. So you know what? I just want to say that I am almost as bad as you, except for I'm black, so I'm not as bad. But I'm just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
love this conversation so much.
It's terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
So funny, yeah, like
terrible.
in LA, obviously, I grew up in the West Coast, so like tattoos to me are like, if you're like in a band, you get a tattoo, or LA, or then there's the Orange County tattoos, like so these kind of white people tattoos are like either surf based or like when guys we get the chain or like something around the
Mhm,
bicep, like that isn't white trash. It is a
mhm.
trashy white aesthetic of a tattoo for sure. And if I was to be super specific, it reads more Orange County, like Havasu, like that kind of like
Like
bro. It's more of a
raised trucks.
bros, right? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
douchey
yeah.
bros get that kind of tattoo, like so anyway, but
But
well,
I
like
don't
and
you
that
are the
guy
only other
dated
person.
Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah,
Chelsea and that guy dates,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
All
gonna
right,
tell
yeah.
you that you
What?
and, a guy that I've dated are the only
Uh-huh.
2 people, and my brother
Uh-huh.
are maybe like a handful of people that I know who do not have tattoos. Everyone I know has tattoos. Everybody I know has that. As one little something, a little squiggly something or other. And, unless you're going to tell me right now that you do have a tattoo, but I know you
Just on the labia, just the labia one.
Oh, hidden, very hidden from me, even though you have showed me
Well,
that once and it was weird.
I know. It's like, is it? Do you want a tattoo?
I've always thought about getting one, but I'm just like, it needs to be the perfect thing because they're expensive. It needs to be the perfect thing, and it needs to be in a spot that if I ever am in a beautiful gown, will not be seen.
Mhm.
So maybe
Mhm.
like I think I could do like a upper thigh, like a Cardi B upper thigh, like half butt, like half cheek situation on this.
Mhm.
Okay, she doesn't like that. I don't care what you like though. Here's the truth. I
I
don't care
know.
what you like. So we would go up there because I do have rather smooth legs. And I think that I could like get away with having like the tattoo on the thigh. Inner thigh would hurt. Otherwise, that'd be the next place. And then I like Rihanna's like lady in between the tetas and below the boobies, but I feel like that would
Ooh,
hurt. I
I
feel like
like
that would
that.
hurt, but I like that. So like there are things I fantasize about it, but the idea of actually paying for it is just like I don't know if there's an artist that's good enough. And if it were to be color, I need to get with somebody who's used to working with melanin skin because melanin skin sometimes like every single basketball player who's my skin or darker or lighter, all their tattoos look terrible to me. All of them look terrible. And I don't like the way tattoos look on dark skin unless they're very clean and crisp and like done well.
You're gonna have to probably every tattoo has to get redone sometimes or whatever, but I'm hoping that there's been such like nuances in the ink. But let's go back to the STEM show. So,
Mm.
how many we want? I mean, you
Ooh,
give
we
me
don't
that
talk about my
timeline.
tattoos. Okay.
So,
So then
yeah.
okay, you're gonna
Well, yeah. So then, she just is like they talk about her piercings, and she just has to be like, validated at all times. And then we move on. And then I think these are your notes. Girls are screaming.
Okay, so this is when they all meet each other at the little luau or whatever they have, like their little
Yeah.
meeting of all the couples, and all the girls start to scream. And it is like, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't scream, but Chris, I know you would. You scream now for no reason. And like you would be fully like, oh my God. And so then all the girls kind of huddle up and like hug each other and are so excited that they got on the show. Kenneth ends up bringing a chair over for Brittany because she's in a group on the beach and she doesn't have a seat. And then Chelsea ends up talking about how Jimmy has a big dick, and Laura's like, compared to what? And I was like, well, big is big, girl. What do you mean compared to what? This banana? And so then they have that little moment, and then everybody's just kind of talking, getting to know each other. Johnny's like really charismatic, and I guess he's coming in and he's checking on Amy. Girl, I don't know. But Jimmy sees AD and he's standing off to the side with Chelsea, and he's like, damn, AD is stacked. And Chelsea's like, oh, what? Oh my God. Yeah, that's so true.
No,
It's so true.
no.
AD! Jimmy says you're stacked. And so and she's like, seriously, girl, how'd you do it? And AD's like, squats and Jesus, girl. And so Jimmy's like, no. Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Oh my God, I can't believe it. She's like, what? You said it. And he's like, no, I just didn't want to do it. So he then goes over to AD in order to cover up the holler from across the way about him checking her out. And he's like, hey, what I'm saying, I just wanted to talk to you because I didn't want to think it was weird. I didn't mean to say it in a bad way or anything like that. I just want to come over and say, like, yeah, you look good. And so he does a little Spain for her. And she's like, oh, no, it's okay, baby. I didn't take it that way. Oh my God, hi. And he's like, yeah. So he talks to her for, I guess, too long. And Chelsea gets upset and then goes to the bar and is like, can I get a tequila soda? And like she gets that. And then she goes off and sits at the beach with the girls. And he's just chopping it up with AD for like, I guess, I don't know how long. And then she's like, they start playing the sad music and she's immediately upset. And it's just like trying to like, oh my God. And then it's just too much. Chelsea goes over to Amy and is like, oh my God, like he said that, like he did it, he just made me feel this way. And Amy's like, no, he should make you feel like you are the only person in the world. Like I can't believe that that's happening. Like that's not the way you should feel, because like my man, he doesn't make me feel like that. Like he is so attentive. And Chelsea's like, yeah, now I'm uncomfortable. And then we have a talk between AD and Kenneth where AD comes up to Kenneth and is like, hey, so how's that going? Like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. She's right for me. Da, da, da. And she's like, well, you guys gotta have the talk because she could have black babies. Like, and that this is a very needed conversation for Black people. This was a needed conversation for me. And so he talks about how everything is good and that he's confident and comfortable with her. And she's like, good, good. Just want to make sure, what I mean? He's like, I'm all about Black love, but I could be very pro-Black and still. And I was like, yes, I agree with this. It's great. What did you think about it?
Did we talk about her saying that kind of identified as a Black American or something like that?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Remember
No, we
that?
didn't talk about it.
Okay. Do you remember her saying that though? There was, yeah, Brittany has been trying to do her best to be as PC about everything as possible. And so at one point, I mean, the way that everyone's trying to do their best on the show, always to like maintain, but like Brittany had said that Kenneth identified like he identifies as Black American, and people on the streets were like, what? How do but
What do you mean
okay.
identifies? He either is or he isn't. Like, that's an ethnicity. Being Black American is an ethnicity.
I
So,
know,
like,
but in the Rachel Dolezal world, I don't like, like, I don't know. The wording of it is so like.
Or it's also when she's like, what's your family's ethnicity? And I'm like, why were you asking the family's ethnicity as opposed to his? What if he was like, they're white?
I'm adopted. Yeah, then she sees him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm also adopted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I was happy that they had this conversation. I didn't know. You're right, though. You didn't say this yet, but from this moment, it does feel like Kenneth, after having shown good up, by like giving her a chair and having that valiant moment and having a little sleepy moment of being like, before we go to bed at night, let's just always check in with each other and make sure we're all good and we never go to bed angry. Then he hears this AD conversation, and I feel like Kenneth leaves the room for the entire rest of the season. I mean, it's like his soul leaves him. Like, I will tell you that before AD's conversation with him, I did wonder if perhaps Brittany would be all he needed in the gender department, like if he was exploring that, if like that would be like his thing. I just didn't know if that was like, he's young, very young. He's, like gone through a lot of trauma, and he's in a whole like ass like principal of a teacher. I don't know if he's gone through like every journey yet to be truly ready. Like, and I had said this before, sometimes people who like see themselves as being overly mature really hang their hat on that, to be like, no, I fucking got the job and I worked my shit out and I like have been, like taking care of myself this time. Like, I am mature. And it's like, bitch, you're still 25. Like, you won't, and so having said that, he's not ready for marriage. And I don't think so at all. And I think there's a journey for him to find. And Brittany is going on this journey for however long she's on. But yeah, like, does feel like the reunion, I think, this will be a conversation at the reunion where it'll be like, did you in this moment start to have second thoughts?
Oh, no, you haven't seen it because Nick and Lachey are terrible. They're not Nick and Lachey?
I
Nick
know.
and Vanessa. Chris,
Nick and Lachey.
you are giving them too much credit. We hope that it happens. We hope.
No, you don't think that AD or someone's going to ask, like, if well, they're going to ask they're going to ask a bunch of questions for Kenneth. Well, we'll move on when we get there. Okay, so then what else happens? I keep bean dip. Jesus Christ.
My God.
This was very confusing. Okay,
you tell me what you thought. No, you tell me what you thought, since
it's
confusing.
So this is the same kind of thing where there's like a dumb dude who makes a comment then it like gets thrown up in such a way that like he can't deal with or whatever, right? Laura tells Jeremy that a bean dip means to hit a girl in the boob, like if it's like No, I don't know what it yeah, I don't understand what that means. It's like cornhole sack? I don't understand why you would do that. No, I don't want anyone I'm like, "My boobs are too big for you to hit. What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, no, someone's gonna have to punch my boob for me to feel it. Like, what are you talking you're gonna flick my boob, you know what I'm saying? You can flick a nipple, you're gonna flick my whole
No, no, no.
boob.
I don't feel like it's a flick. I think it's a slap up and a slap down. I don't know. Ever like did you ever like in college grab your friend's boobs?
No.
Oh, okay. So we
I would
did in
undo
this
the I think
like
maybe we undo the bras, you know?
okay,
Like,
so what we did is what I would do is I would go up to Ashley and be talking to her and just be like, "So," and just like grab her boob. It would be like this moment of like or like Elizabeth would just like walk by me and like reach out her hand and just squeeze and keep going. So for those of you guys who did that out there, for those of you wondering, Chris is actually eating in your ear. She's actually chewing a cucumber in your eardrum. So if you have whatever that thing is where you can't hear people eat, it's Chris. She's doing it to you. It's not me. Okay. So that's what we would do. So it's just kind of like a girl thing that may or may not have happened in your college or high school years. And so I've never heard of bean dip though, but the idea of slapping your friend's titty is not like foreign to me. Okay. So what had happened is it sounds like there was some kind of girl conversation that happened in the dormitories. And maybe Laura was then describing everybody's body to Jimmy and was like, she's got a sick body and like whatever, I wonder what she does, blah, 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 blah. And so then I think this is a little bit further on in the evening after Jeremy is feeling really good and he's had a couple of beverages. And so some people are sitting on those seats on the sand by the beach, and AD comes over to like say what's up to Clay to check in on him. And so when she comes over and she's like, "Hey, hi, okay, Clay, you doing okay?" Jeremy's like, "Oh my god, you think it was so funny? Like, oh my god, like, oh, ha, 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 bro, yeah, like Laura told me that bean dip and that you would know what that means." And AD was like, "Oh my god, like." That's crazy. She's like, "Yeah, Laura told me to do it to you." And she's like, "Laura told you to do it to me?" And Clay's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What's going on?" And so then he's like, she turns and she's like, "Laura, bean dip, really?" And Laura's like, "Oh my god, that wasn't something that was supposed to be said. Like, Jeremy, what are you doing?" And so Clay's like, "Really, what's going on?" And so finally AD explains to Clay, it's like when you go up to a girl and you like slap up and slap down. And Clay is like, "That's wild, bro. I can't believe you even said that. Like, definitely do not do that." And he's like, "No, no, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it." And like, and she's and then Laura's over there, like, "What the fuck is happening?" She's like, "No, like, just it was a private moment. It was nothing. It wasn't worth him bringing up. I didn't tell him to come do it to you." And then I think Jeremy then realizes that he has just talked about sexually assaulting another person.
mhm.
And so then he's like, whatever, whatever. And so AD goes up to Laura and she's like, "Girl, did you tell him to do that to me?" And she's like, "No, it's completely out of context. Like, I just said it as a joke and like, whatever." But the truth is that even if it was just said as a joke, they were joking about sexually assaulting AD, period. Maybe they didn't think of it that way because for them it was like, yeah, her body, like whatever, but they were definitely just like talking about a black woman's body in a way like a museum type situation in a
Mhm.
way that like first black lady's body was put on display in London. Like it's just like a crazy ass call back to just like folks not feeling like black women have autonomy over themselves, right? And so AD tries to like squash that shit and have the conversation with Laura, but Laura's like insistent and there's no reason for her to harp on it. And then Laura tries to go over to Jeremy and it's like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you say that? Like, it's crazy. Like, even if I did say it, like, there are some things that you should know as an adult that you're not going to go and say to people." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, like, whatever." And then he gets upset. And he doesn't want to talk to her about it. And so she's like, "What the fuck? Like, calm down and shut the hell up." And so then that's when Jeremy's like, "I'm ready to go." And she's like home? And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Wait, like back to Charlotte?" And he's like, "Yeah." He gets up and leaves. So he's like upset. And so she at this point thinks that he's like just gonna go home from this
Boy,
because he's
bye.
pissed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, And so then everybody kind of disperses, and that's the end of the night after that. And then Chelsea and Jimmy go back to the hotel, and Chelsea's like starts to complain about like, you made me feel so uncomfy. I can't believe you did, like nobody else did that. That's so embarrassing. Like you weren't with me the whole time. You weren't checking in on me. And he's like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah. And he's just like, okay, I did not mean to do that. And she's like, well, I don't care what you meant. I just felt like an inconvenience to you. I didn't feel loved by you. Like you were talking about how great 80s body was. Like, how was it supposed to make me feel? And he's like, wait a minute, we need to take a step back. And she's like, that makes me so mad. I'm telling you that my feelings are hurt and you made me feel uncomfy. So just take it. And that's where I'm like, no, he doesn't just take it.
Mm-hmm.
You did it.
Mm-hmm.
You were the one who pointed out AD and made him feel like he had to then not be Jeremy and make it better. So now we have two distinct times in this episode where two white men or whatever are objectifying AD's body, and the white women are the vehicle for that. That's all I have to say, Chris. Go ahead.
I know it. First of all, it's the deep insecurity from the white woman, and for sure Chelsea more than Laura. I think Laura and AD are friends, or they are very friendly throughout the thing. I think Laura didn't actually mean. Well, I don't know, but because we don't actually see the Laura and Jeremy thing as much of like what the bean dip was, like whether she just told him what bean dip was, or whether, and she really like. I don't think that. I really don't know. I think Laura said it so like throw it away in her mind. I really don't think that Laura meant to go touch AD in any way, nor did I think that she meant to assault her. Now, what Chelsea does is the following. Chelsea the entire time has been insecure about the way she looks or whatever. AD is gorgeous, and she's gorgeous and her body is like out of fucking control. Okay? So now what happens is that people cannot control themselves. Men can't control themselves from either looking or talking about it, and the women in the room feel threatened, and Chelsea is one of them, and she can't stop talking about it. There's going to be our whole lives there'll be people that are prettier than us or richer than us or whatever, and this causes jealousy, and the way in which people deal with anxiety and jealousy and insecurity is just like the way that their personality is. And Chelsea deals with her anxiety and insecurity in a way that is so emotionally immature that it's cringy to watch. And also, what I hope to take from it, a testimony to what not to be. Because in Chelsea's mind, I think that she's just like, I'm a totally great, normal person. And she's going to show us like, how crazy it is when you're operating out of a void of insecurity. She can't hear anything. Everything is like combative to her. The alcohol makes it 100% worse. She starts and ends situations. She's a nightmare to talk to. I mean, to watch poor. I love thinking of Jimmy having to deal with this, knowing that like what he heard in those pods was just a giggly voice that was not a mean Jessica, that he was like, I'll pick the giggly voice. And now the giggly voice is like a drunk whiny voice. But I cannot believe I can't believe the sexualization of AD. I can't believe it. I mean, they're going to talk about that every unit. It's like, it was grotesque. And she didn't have to be, but she was really lovely and gracious. She made Jimmy feel comfortable, and she made, with Jeremy, that was a weird situation, and like, she tried her best, but like no one really understood that. But like she did talk to Jimmy like a long time after that. She didn't have to, and she is incredibly charming. And so why wouldn't Jimmy want to continue a conversation with gorgeous, charming AD, who's very secure in herself and body? Then, I would have that conversation if I was him last the entire night, God bless.
Yeah, but also I think the difference is that she recognized that he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't mean for this conversation to like get like, because it was Chelsea who hollered it from across the room. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but like it was Chelsea who was like, hey, me, like, like unnecessary. Cause she, and then
Easily.
he's like, you're the one who did it. And she's like, because you made me feel uncomfortable. So like I had an outburst, but it's your fault I had an outburst. It's like, how did she think that he was supposed to understand that? Like, she thinks her thought pattern was A to B. It really is A to E. It's
It's
not,
aid overreaction. And
yeah, it's
then
A to D. A to D. Like, it is an overreaction that she expects him to understand, intrinsically understand where she's coming
and
from.
validate. And
And
validate.
yeah. And when he doesn't, she's like, "Mm," her turn down. This is gonna be the downfall of her.
Literally and figuratively, oh my god, I can't believe you're saying that because
Look
it's
at this,
a
look at this. It's like
I know it.
I have to actually, like, force it to happen. Try it. Try doing it.
Okay.
Trying to make this part of your mouth. Yeah.
Is I doing it?
You see how you're not, it looks weird on you, but, like, do you see how it feels? How does that feel,
Wait.
Chris? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's that. How does that feel?
It
It
feels
feels in my neck.
yeah, it's just like it's pitiful. Okay, I'll tell you that the idea of it is a pitiful feeling. Don't you feel like like yeah, it's just
Mm.
God, she's so and I feel bad because as like
I don't feel
as a
bad.
woman that wants to have women feel their power, Chelsea in every moment of the show is constantly giving up her power and everything she does, says, moves. Sh the
No,
cardigan
I
off
don't.
her shoulder.
The cardigan off her shoulder. I don't think that she thinks she's giving up her power. I think that she
Oh, yeah.
finds
She doesn't.
power in that, yeah, in that behavior. We already talked about this for 46 minutes. We gotta
Are
move
we done?
on.
Okay.
You wanna look at the
Are we
notes?
done with this episode?
Or how about you look at the notes and you tell me if we're done?
You know
Look at
what?
the notes,
Let's
Chris.
okay.
All right, you guys. While
Yeah.
Chris looks at the
Okay.
note. Great. So, let's you- let's be done. Hey Patreon, bye. Go, give us one more good crunch.
We'll talk